British Triathlon, proudly partnered by GE. Imagination at work.
Hello, welcome to Edinburgh and Holyrood Park, home to the Scottish Parliament and one of the country's most iconic landmarks, Arthur's Seat. And there's surely no finer place from which to view the stunning architecture and the history of the city the locals refer to as Old Reekie. But this historic city also has a heritage of great sporting events, and in keeping with that, is aiming to become the most active city in Europe by 2020. So there'll be plenty of motivation this weekend at the GE Edinburgh ITU Duathlon World Championships. The run-bike-run format of duathlon may sound straightforward, but don't be fooled. These races are absolutely exhausting and anything can happen in the last few hundred metres. It's the climax of the year for these athletes, and that's why more than 1,000 have travelled from 31 countries around the world, ready to take on the pain, the course and each other in the quest for the global titles. With elite, age group and para-duathlon races, there'll be 41 gold medalists, and the para-duathletes set the pattern for a weekend of intense competition as they race first. After that, it's the multitude of amateur athletes in the age group categories fighting for silverware on a tough course around Arthur's Seat. These athletes have come from all around the world for their races, and at the finish it's all about the joy, the pain and the drama of duathlon. The park here in Holyrood may be perfect for spectators, with the city skyline providing a stunning backdrop, but it's the duathletes who pay the price for these views, because the hills on this bike course are absolutely savage. The elites will climb almost 100 metres on every single one of their 7 laps, and it's here on this middle part of the race where local girl CATRIONA Morrison will have to strike for gold if Scotland is to celebrate a world champion once again. Elite world champion in 2006, Morrison won the Europeans a year later on this course, using the bike to see off the French threat of Sandra Levenez. But Levenez is back this year as well, and Morrison will need more of the same.
I think we saw it at the Europeans with a lot of people going into the race thinking, well, the hill's not that great. And, you know, admittedly, first time round, the hill isn't all that great, but by lap number 7, I think you'll be changing your tune. What would it mean to you to recapture the world crown here on home soil? It would mean everything. It is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and, you know, I really want it to happen. But I know that I've got to work darn hard to get it.
Well, we're all set for what should be a gutsy race. CATRIONA Morrison has done it before on the world stage, but if Edinburgh's Golden Girl is going to win again, she'll need to be on absolute top form. Let's join our commentator, Patrick Winterton.
The elite, the world's best duathletes lined up next to the Scottish Parliament at the entrance to Holyrood Park for the 2010 World Championships. Away they go, and it's a very, very tough pace set initially. 55 kilometres in all to be covered. It will take them just over the 2-hour mark. There's no doubt that tactics will play their part, but their first task is to stay with their pace on phase 1, the 10-kilometre run, and ensure that they're in the leading pack for the bike ride, which will cover some 40 kilometres, and one of the toughest bike rides on the duathlon circuit. CATRIONA Morrison looking good in second place at the moment. She's settled in very well, won the European Championships here on this very course, and that sort of memory and experience invaluable. Morrison knows that the key to success here is to dominate the bike course, which is brutal. 7 times round Holyrood Park, 92 metres on each of those laps, so almost 700 metres climbed and 700 technical metres descended as well. This is not one for the faint-hearted. Those who do well in the bike ride may find themselves in contention for the final 5-kilometre run. 15 minutes or so of pain, another 2 laps to be completed. The lead group still on lap 1 of phase 1, and they've reached the summit for the first time. Now they descend back down towards the start. Good start from the Spaniard, Burgos, looking fluent at the moment. On the left of your screen, the tall American. That's Gwen Jorgensen, a brilliant runner, as you can see from her style. But there is a big question mark over her ability to stay with the pace on the bike ride, particularly on a course with this sort of profile.
While Jorgensen was finding the downhill half of the lap to her liking, the climb wasn't as comfortable for the American. Britain's Katie Ingram and 2009 silver medalist Sandra Levenez of France were thinning out the pack on the ascents.
I'm really hoping that it's going to be a little bit of a war of attrition, that obviously the person who wins this race is going to be the strongest athlete on the day, and that's quite refreshing. It is such a tough run bike course that it really is going to be the best, the fittest and the most prepared athlete who wins.
After a 34-minute 10K at Transition 1, it was Levenez leading, chased by Jorgensen and Ingram, a member of British Triathlon's Try Gold programme funded by Barry Wells. CATRIONA Morrison was one of the 9 athletes who would form a lead pack, with Germany's Jenny Schultz leading, but not likely to stay in position 1, with the local favourite just behind.
So the first of 2 runs completed for the women, 10K in the legs and 40 to come on the bike. And with such a high-quality field of runners, this is where CATRIONA Morrison really has to make it count.
She wouldn't leave it long. On the first climb, CATRIONA's already testing the legs of the lead pack, although the French coach stationed at the top is confident that Levenez is more than a match as he shouts encouragement and instructions. Telling Levenez that she's in charge of the game and that the others are suffering. Well, he's right about the second part anyway. On lap 2, it's still a pack of 9, but Morrison's second surge is as irresistible as it is inevitable. Alley is understandable to all, and that's what Levenez does, the only one who can, sticking to Morrison's back wheel all the way to the top. The others can only drop further and further back and leave it to these 2, but over the next 4 laps, Levenez is never in front and seldom more than a few inches from Morrison's back wheel. The Frenchwoman is a dangerous runner and using less energy than Morrison on the bike, perhaps even winning the tactical battle as Morrison fails to drop her. With that 5K run approaching, it's time to rejoin commentary with Patrick Winterton.
So they're on the climb for the 5th of 7 times and they're halfway up, but this is the steepest, the hardest part of all. The leading group is down to 2, Morrison and Levenez. Morrison has done all the work for the last half an hour and Levenez of France quite happy to stick on her wheel. Plenty of support out on the course for the French team, plenty of instructions being given as well. I wonder how long Morrison is going to tolerate this. She must start to think tactically. Well, here she goes. The tempo is slowed. She's almost put the brakes on. No, you go through. Well, about time too. Morrison not only working hard, she's thinking hard as well. She knows that she has to have a little bit of time in the slipstream of Levenez if her legs are going to be fresh enough for the end of the bike and, of course, that final 5-kilometre run. Well, Levenez has got a support. CATRIONA Morrison, a local girl, has even more. The duel goes on. What a fascinating encounter we've got now. Well, that sounded like an instruction to wait until the next lap or the final lap for the break. Well, Levenez inviting Morrison to share the lead. Morrison saying she's done her fair share. It's turning into a battle of the minds at the front of the women's field.
While it was all tactics at the front, the course was just too hard for some, like South Africa's Ross. And with the chase pack unable to make up time, it was Levenez v Morrison for gold as they charged into Transition 2. Both knew there was not a second to be spared. The next 17 minutes would settle the world title. The home crowd just hoping CATRIONA would have enough left from working hardest on the bike. With the chasers 4 minutes down, it was clear just how fast the leaders had ridden. But with 3.5k to go, the war of attrition came to an end as Morrison made a surge that Levenes's legs just could not answer. Schultz and Australia's Sheedy Ryan battled for bronze, but there was no dispute over the gold as CATRIONA Morrison entered the last 100 metres.
She won the World Championship in 2006. She won the European title here in Scotland in 2007. And CATRIONA Morrison has done it again. What a fabulous display of strength and intelligence to win the World Duathlon Championships 2010. Yet again, Levenes has to settle for second.
You were so desperate to be the champion again here, and what a way to do it.
Yeah, it was. I tried to get rid of Sandra on the bike, but she was so strong. And around about the 5th lap, when I knew I wasn't going to be able to shake Sandra, I was thinking, oh, this is going to come down to a run. And not being so confident about my run pace, I was beginning to wonder. But you can't afford to waste energy wondering. You've just got to do your very best. And all credit to her, she made me work hard.
Felicity Sheedy Ryan picked up bronze with the fastest second run, but that final 5k was the undoing of Britain's Lois Rosindale, who led the under-23 race off the bike, but had to settle for silver as teammate Sophie Coleman overtook her to take the title. A great start to the day for Team GB.
So the first world champion of the day has been crowned. A fantastic victory for CATRIONA Morrison. Join us after the break to find out if the men's race will be just as dramatic.
British Triathlon, proudly partnered by GE. Imagination at work.
Welcome back to Scotland for the GE Edinburgh ITU Duathlon World Championships. CATRIONA Morrison is the toast of Scotland, a fantastic victory in the women's race. But now we turn our attention to the men's World Championship, where there are plenty of foreign stars ready to take on the best of British.
Adam Bowden amongst those in a strong GB team, but the likes of Damien Derobert, second last year, will guarantee a gruelling race.
This race is very beautiful. The most athletes in the world is present in this race, and I want to check the victory.
He's not the only one. It's a name to be reckoned with. Long-course duathlon specialist Yuri van Steelen was 4th at the Europeans here in 2007. That year it was Yuri's late brother Benny, perhaps the greatest duathlete of all time from the strongest nation in the sport, who took the win. A team performance from the Belgians on the bike stage helped earn silver for Rob WOESTENBORGHS, who went on to capture the world title with similar tactics in 2008. However, a bike crash in the same year left Rob in a coma and fighting for his life. 2 years on, he's getting his fitness back, and on a sunnier day in Edinburgh, with strong support here, we'll be hoping his team can work some of that Belgian witchcraft all over again.
Confident but realistic as well. But I'm happy to be here. See, this is it's quite the same course, and it's one of the courses I like the most. Bart AERNOUTS from Belgium. He's our strongest guy at the moment.
Bart, your teammate Rob has very helpfully tipped you for the gold medal.
Yeah, I hope he's right, but you never know. On the World Championship, I think there are a lot of favorites. Everybody's in great shape, so you always need to wait until the big day and then see what's happening.
On the 10k run, it's Yakovlev of Russia, the Mexican Pereira, and former steeplechaser Britain's Mark Buckingham setting a tough pace. In the light blue, AERNOUTS and the rest of the Belgians just have to stay in touch, though this looks like hard work in itself for Van Steelen and WOESTENBORGHS as they wait for the bike.
3 years ago, I remember the Belgians employed some great team tactics to help each other round. Will we expect similar here? Come on, be honest.
It's true. We are 3 in the elite race and 3 good bikers, but we'll have to see how the race is going. It's always difficult. You can make a lot of plans, but we'll have to wait and see.
It's a 30-minute 10K on a tough course to kick things off. Those who can handle that sort of pace head out onto the bike just behind Buckingham.
Buckingham is going to be first up and Great Britain.
All 3 Belgians are there, and AERNOUTS hits the front right at the start of the bike stage as the light blue trio's game plan goes into action on the first climb.
Maybe the bike is one of my specialties, and I think when it's a flat course, you never know. It's always the fast runners who are in the front. We once did it in Rimini to attack on the bike, me together with Rob, but it's not easy to do with something on the bike when it's a flat course. So here it's easier for a good biker to be in the front.
The big front group is still together after the first climb to the top of Holyrood Park, but there are 6 more ascents to go, as well as 7 descents. Former pro cyclist Rich Hobby has advice for teammate Buckingham as they try to stay with the Belgians. Uphill and downhill, the pace is relentless, but there's still no breakaway as we rejoin commentary with Patrick Winterton.
Second circuit for the men on their 38.4 kilometre bike ride. Victor Morales of Spain up there amongst the leaders. The Belgians sticking together like a box of truffles, and you suspect a little bit of teamwork going on with them. On goes the power from number 43, that's Yuri van Steelen. Well known over the longer distances. Whether he can keep the pace in the short distance race, we'll have to wait and see. There he is, pushing the pace on the second climb. Right on his heel, the hot favourite, BART AERNOUTS. And starting to struggle is Rob Woestenbourghs, the 6'2" physiotherapist. My goodness, he's going to have to get those joints working if he's going to stay with his teammates. Belgium, 1, 2 and 3 at the moment, but an awful long way to go. They've tried, and finally they've got rid of the bulk of the pack. Britain's Adam Bowden has gone, so has Richard Hobby has gone as well. And we're left with Morales of Spain. Sergio Silva is there for Portugal. 2 very good runners, and the Belgians won't appreciate their company at any stage. The pace has suddenly picked up. So they get the peloton rolling nicely. Sergio Silva having a chat. I think he's saying, I'm not prepared to take my share at the front. Well, it's a tactical race. He's entitled to play it any way he wishes. A significant gap has opened now, and the Belgians' chances of a 1-2-3 very much alive.
So it was a lead pack of 5, though the fast-running Morales and Silva were unwelcome guests in what was supposed to be an all-Belgian party. Behind them, Derobert and Hobby were trying to close the gap, while a big third group led by Adam Bowden was trying to stay in contention. The pace at the front, though, was too fast, with the Belgian trio constantly trying and failing to drop the Spaniard and the Portuguese. Time was running out, and with the run just 2 laps away, let's rejoin commentary with Patrick Winterton.
Lap 6 of 7, so 1.5 climbs still to go. BART AERNOUTS has looked good throughout. The 3rd place in 2008 in the World Championships in Rimini. Woestenbourghs, his teammate, racing today at the front of the field, won that on that occasion. Van Steelen just dropping back to have a word with his teammate, AERNOUTS. AERNOUTS calling the shots here, suggesting that he stays behind and the other 2 try and get clear, because he knows that he's the one that Silva and Morales is worried about. and then he's going to try and bridge the gap. Well, it's a bold decision, but they have tried numerous times to get clear. Maybe this is the time it's going to work. Well, the steepest part of the climb still to come, and that is where most breaks take place on this course and on most alpine courses as well. So Van Steeland it is who makes the early move, trying to get right on his heel, the Spaniard, Victor Morales. Sergio Silva in fourth at the moment in the green vest. He's in a very high gear and struggling a little. Sitting at the back, Bart AERNOUTS. This is the key part of this race. Van Steeland has 10 metres. Woestenbourg now trying to leapfrog the gap. The plan is being played out in front of our eyes. AERNOUTS still looking very, very smooth indeed. Up he goes, onto his feet and accelerates away. Silva has no response, Morales has no response, and suddenly the Belgians are clear. They've tried for 5.5 laps, they've done it on the 6th. And the gap of 25 metres opened up in no more than 45 metres of cycling. Astonishing stuff. Sergio Silva, he knows.
Job done, and the Belgian train heads for transition 2. Just a lap and a half later from where it's every man for himself in the run for gold. 1 kilometre into the 5 and an attack from Woestenbourghs is too much for Van Steeland, who seems to settle for the bronze today. But with 500 metres to go, Woestenbourghs himself can't hold on. Tells his teammates so. And they decide to run in together with AERNOUTS to take the victory, a fitting end to what has been a stunningly executed team performance. AERNOUTS wins in 1 hour 50 minutes 22 seconds, with Yuri Van Steeland taking third, only 8 seconds behind. Victor Morales takes fourth and looks fresh, but nothing could stop that light blue machine.
Belgium 1, Belgium 2, Belgium 3, and you got the goal.
Yeah, I'm very happy, but also very happy for the other 2 guys, because we worked very well together on the bike.
Rob, I think you made way for Bart. How did you come to that decision at the end?
He was always stronger than me. On the bike I suffered a lot. In the running also he waited on me. I'm so happy with 2nd place. It's unbelievable. I never expected it. Also about the work we've done as Belgian team. I think we let the world see that we are the strongest on the bike. Everybody knew we're going to try it, and it happened. So it's amazing.
There is something for France to cheer, as Etienne de Munch is the first under-23, crossing just ahead of Adam Bowden, the leading British athlete, in 7th place. Matt Gunby picks up 2nd in the under-23s. Like everyone this weekend, he's left it all out there on the roads of Holyrood Park.
How tough was that course? It looks as though it was a savage day's work.
That was easily the hardest race of my life. I don't think I've ever been that fatigued getting off the bike, but I knew everyone else would be hurting equally as much, so I was just telling myself, just dig in, Matt, you've only got 15 minutes running. So yeah, and thank God I'm finished now.
From Scotland, CATRIONA.
Scotland's historic capital promised us good weather, a tough course and 2 superb races, and it delivered on all fronts. A fantastic 1, 2, 3 for the Belgians in the men's race, but really today the congratulation, the celebration and the applause all belong to CATRIONA Morrison, world champion again and in her home city as well. The party in Princes Street is just around the corner. Bye for now.
British Triathlon, proudly partnered by GE. Imagination at work.